Hi everyone. I'm retired United States Air Force Technical Sergeant Robin O'Bannon of Chandler, Arizona. When I entered the United States Air Force in 1987, it seemed like a good idea. When I deployed to Saudi Arabia for Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and Southern Watch in 1990, 91, and 92, I learned firsthand that heroes are just ordinary people under extraordinary circumstances. And when I re-enlisted, I knew that service was a calling for the rest of my life. You cut me, I bleed Air Force blue, and my plan was to stay at least 26 years in the Air Force. I was able to serve in so many different capacities: a dental technician, a patient decontamination specialist in wartime, a singer, a member of the Honor Guard, a drummer and drum captain of the Drum and Bugle Corps in basic training, a recruiter, and that's a short list of the opportunities that I had to share my talents in the United States Air Force. And that's why it was a devastating blow when in an early fall morning in 2004, I got up to go for a run with my airmen, and I collapsed on the floor next to my bed, and I was never the same. I went to doctor after doctor being treated for everything from vertigo and insomnia to depression and weight gain. And my hair was coming out in my hands in handfuls. The fatigue was terrible. The pain in my body was terrible. But since my tests kept coming back within normal limits, I got sent to a psychiatrist. My tests did finally come back abnormal, or some of them did, and I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and lupus, among other things, finding out that many Gulf War veterans had been diagnosed with these illnesses. I was actually retired after 18 years, permanently, from the United States Air Force. Whenever I try to explain it to someone who's never had what I've had, I liken it to having a flu every day. And I've had the flu every day for the last 12 years. I've had to use wheelchairs and canes, and even for a period of time I had a home health care provider who assisted me in bathing and taking care of basic household tasks. And I had a drug cocktail that defied logic. Modafinil, testosterone, Xanax, Vicodin, you name it. The street value of the medications I was taking was probably pretty hefty. But I was still moving further and further away from the center of health, and it made no sense. Skin on some parts of my body was turning black. I wore sunglasses, sometimes indoors, because chronic headaches made me so sensitive to light. The palms of my hands and soles of my feet were waxy yellow-gray instead of healthy pink, and the fatigue was so crippling. I had to choose sometimes between eating and going to the bathroom because I didn't have the energy to do both. And I would lay in my bed at night in terrible pain, thoroughly convinced that I had been misdiagnosed, tears soaking my pillow, just praying to God to take me. And every morning, I'd still be here. I really don't think that it's possible to relate to you the loss and suffering my family and I endured in the minutes that I have with you here. But let's just suffice it to say I was bankrupt and unemployable, and my world was becoming very small. So I started operating my life from a very logical standpoint. Things like thinking care should not kill a person. So I started taking holistic and naturopathic approaches in order to rid my body of the toxicity of the medications that I was taking. But eventually I hit a wall, because even though I'd still improved, my health still ruled my days, my nights, and my life. In 2014, new symptoms developed. I began having trouble keeping my balance. I was running into walls, dragging my left foot, couldn't grip with my left hand. It was a concern of my doctor that I might have ALS. But I also realized that I would continue to live a lifetime of surprises if I couldn't find the root cause, or I couldn't find an actual cure for what was going on. I just wanted my life back, and that's all veterans want. We just want our lives back, because no disability check or rating could ever take the place of living a productive, happy, and normal life. I was a co-host on a weekly radio show last year when I heard about hyperbaric oxygen therapy, or HBOT, and the preventable suicide rate among my fellow veterans. And shortly after that, I was introduced to Dr. Carol Henricks in Tucson, Arizona. And since then, I've been on an accelerated path regarding the miracle that is HBOT. Traumatic brain injury among veterans could be cured, and subsequently the suicide rate would be no more. But to learn that this was actual knowledge that the VA had, and all of these suicides could be prevented, not only did that defy logic, it was just plain wrong. My personal experience with HBOT, I had no more night terrors. I had decrease in pain and an increase in energy. Those night terrors, I haven't seen another one since. And because I've had the pleasure of working with Dr. Hendricks, I have not only heard of the blessings that are because of HBOT, but I have met the people behind those stories. We live in a day and age where we chase down symptoms with pharmaceuticals. Yet we have to fight on so many fronts to even acknowledge the bona fide, proven miracle of healing that is HBOT. The one thing that has been proven instrumental in giving veterans and countless others suffering from traumatic brain injury and other war-induced trauma their very lives back. The fact that we have to fight so hard to make that common knowledge and a standard of care, now that really does defy logic.